Mhm.
So when I travel for the conferences, I used to listen to my voice. The most exciting part is when you listen to the applause at the end of your
Mhm.
talk. After the thank you slides, let
Mhm.
me say, put a warm up question. The best part of conferences is speak with other developers. We can't literally know everything. We bring our experience
Mhm.
into the talks.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Coffee with Developers. Today, we're here with Giorgio Boa. He is from Italy. He works as a full stack developer for Claranet Italy, and he's a public speaker. Welcome, Giorgio. How are you?
Hi, thanks for being here. I'm really happy. I'm good. And as you mentioned, I'm a full stack developer for Claranet Italy. It's an international consultancy company. And I spend my days developing a cool application, but I like also the public speaking activity. So I met you few months ago in a conference, and now we are here.
Yes. Well, that's awesome, Giorgio. Tell us a little bit what technologies you work with on a daily basis at Clarinet in Italy.
Yeah, I used to work with React and Next.js,
Mhm.
for e-commerce and other kind of website like this for these
Mhm.
use cases. But recently, since 1 year, I'm involved in a Quick framework. So I think
Okay.
Quick will be a good framework for the future. And recently in the JS world, I spoke with a lot of guys from Vue. So I'm looking
Mhm.
at Vue as a good framework to develop application.
Oh yeah, nice. It's always good to have like different frameworks you're proficient in, so you're not locked in for some market because of something. So you can just go
Yeah,
ahead and code whatever you want, right?
yeah. I think the consultancy the consultancy company give you the possibility to do that. If you are in a product company, of course you need to be really vertical to one technology. In a consultancy is a little bit different. You can you touch different cases with different frameworks, so it's fun.
Well, that's a great way to look at it. So you can use a consultancy to gain knowledge or experience in like various different technologies, which is cool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk a little bit about your public speaking appearances. You told me about. For how long have you been doing this now?
From 2020 to
2020. Okay,
today, yeah.
same as I. Same as I. Cool.
Yeah, and I start during the pandemic period because in my previous company doesn't allow me to participate in public speaking in conferences. So the pandemic period for me was like a holy grail, for say, let me say, because in the pandemic period all the conferences were online. So
Yeah.
for me it was so easy to get involved in this kind of activity.
Yeah, cool. I agree. I have the same experience. I started as a public speaker in the pandemic because it was sort of easier to get into it, right? And it was a little bit less intimidating. May I ask you, like, is it the first time when you entered the remote talks, you had to talk to camera, or did you do videos beforehand,
The first
recording
time
yourself?
I did a talk was in front of a camera, yeah,
Hmm.
without the pre-recording one,
Hmm.
but was quite easy, a little bit intimidating, of course, but without the audience was easier.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it remote or recording is easier, but it's still a little bit weird because you are sort of have to look at the camera, right? Which is not natural. You just look at something and you are aware that there are like potentially thousands of people watching this. So that's
Yeah,
maybe what makes it exciting at the moment, right?
yeah, but I think now it's better because I think Nvidia creates something to look at the camera, even
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
are
yeah.
looking around. So I would like
Yeah,
to try that technology.
yeah. It, I wanted to try it as well. It's not available for Mac yet. Okay, so what was your first public speaking appearance then?
Okay, my first one was little bit workshop, a little workshop about Git,
Hmm.
and I remember I prepared the talk a few months before,
Hmm.
and I stressed myself a lot to get a lot of information from every post, every article in the internet, basically. So I stressed myself a lot, and talk by talk, I improved this way to create my speech, and now
Hmm.
I prepare them only few days before.
Oh yeah, nice. Yeah, I remember my first talk was as well. I was super stressed. I think it was for the real talk
Hmm.
was for Vue.js Global, so the same
Oh,
organizers as Vue.js Amsterdam, which was also remote. And I also super stressed, as you say. And I think I recorded the time that I spent on it. It was almost 60 hours spending on
wow.
just like a 20-minute talk or something, because I was like, oh my god, I'm between these like awesome speakers, right? And
Yeah,
I have to sort of like
I
it's intimidating,
see.
right?
I see. I
Uh,
see.
all right. Yeah, you already talked a little bit about how you got into public speaking with remote uh, first, and then in person. Then how did the transition go from remote to in person?
Okay, this is a great question. So my first one in remote was in Italian. So
Mhm.
another challenge is to talk in English, of course.
Mhm.
But my first in person was in Italian as well, in a local meetup. So
Okay.
I'm inside of a local meetup in my hometown, and I talk with the guys. They organize these kind of events, and I talk there. So it was like 12, 12, 30 attendees. So it was
Mhm.
a small one, but was different because when you speak in front of a camera, you know, you don't have the feeling of the audience.
People
Uh,
watching you. Yeah,
yeah, they
yeah.
watching you. They you feel that if the audience understand what you are saying. Yeah.
Yeah. And how is it for you different the remote talk to an in-person talk, besides that you don't see or feel the people looking at you?
In remote, and in the middle of the talk, I always think it's all okay, I'm online, or something like that. In person, the most problematic part, or the most scariest part, is the Q&A, because
Oh
you
yeah.
prepare your talk, and you always in the first talks, I spoke with other speakers in their first talk. They prepare a lot of material to get
Mhm.
prepared for Q&A time. So I think in person one, the Q&A is the most scary part. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, you are very exposed, right? They ask you a question, and there's a possibility that you just don't know it because it's maybe one
Hmm.
part of the whole topic that you don't know. And Did that happen to you? That you got asked a question where you didn't know the answer?
Yeah, sometimes happen, but I think a good way to solve this is not answer a stupid things. Let me say, but answer. Okay, I never touched this problematic or never touched this case. So
Mhm.
let's check after the talk and together, or I will send you my hints, my advices. So,
Yeah, I think this is a the best way or the way to go, because I always seen interviews of, for example, Evan Yu, the creator of Vue, being asked a question about Vue, and he was
mhm.
like, you know what, I actually don't know it because someone else developed this part, and I would have
Mhm.
to check up with them, which is
Yeah,
totally fine. Like, you are the absolute expert in whatever it is you're doing, and you still cannot know some things, which is totally fine. And I think this is something that the audience can take something away from this, that this is
yeah,
just
yeah,
normal.
yeah. Because we can't literally know everything. We bring our experience
Mhm.
into the talks, and of course, if someone asks for a specific case or something that we really don't know, it's a clever answer to wait for a good answer and not
Yeah.
answer some stupid things or something like that. Yeah,
Yeah, just out of panic, answer something just to say something, and then it ends up being wrong, which doesn't help you because it's your reputation, and you didn't help the person at the end that wanted
yeah,
to know something more, right?
yeah. And we can always use the magic word depends. It
It
depends
depends.
is
Yeah.
the magic word that we can use in that case. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And can you tell us a little bit how you prepare for a talk? Before we recorded this, you told me that your first talk took a lot of time, and then now you do it in a very short time. But what is your process on preparing a talk?
Yeah. Okay. I imagine the talk first thing first. Imagine the talk and imagine the storytelling
Mhm,
without write anything into
mhm,
notes or something like that. Only imagine when I cooking something or when I watching TV. I imagine in my mind the storytelling,
mhm.
and then when I imagine the storytelling, I can imagine also the slides.
Ah, yeah.
Okay, and then I repeat myself the storytelling a few things, few times, and then when in my mind it's okay, I start to create the slides, but
Mhm,
I already prepare in my mind this kind of slides, so for me was
mhm,
it's easy to create them, and then I record dry run in
mhm,
audio, and then I repeat the talk. I used to repeat the talk more than 5 times to get
mhm,
some hooks, some special word that hooks me into the flow. And then
mhm,
I used to record the talk in my mobile.
mhm,
So when I travel for the conferences, I used to listen to my voice
mhm,
inside of a plane. You know, you can't speak inside of a plane about your talk,
mhm.
but if you
Yeah.
listen to yourself, it's kind of repeating. It's kind of dry run.
Yeah.
So
So it's actually a neat trick. You just like listen to it, and as the lyrics of the song, you eventually memorize your own talk, which is pretty cool.
yeah, yeah, because in the train you can say you can do like okay, I'm speaking, I preparing myself during the travel in the train
Mhm.
because there are a lot of other people, so you can listen to yourself, and it's a clever thing, I think.
Oh, that's it. That's a very neat trick I really haven't thought about. So thanks for that, Giorgio.
Yeah, it's my special tricky. Yeah.
Nice. I love it. So, what is the most exciting part for you about speaking in public?
The most exciting part is when you listen to the applause at the end of your
Mhm.
talk. It's a good time. And but honestly, the best part of conferences is speak with other guys, other people, other developers, basically, to talk about technology and share feedbacks, opinion, stuff like that. I used to talk a lot with people during the conferences,
Mhm.
with the attendees, but also with the other speakers to share feedbacks, knowledge about talks, how we
Mhm.
can prepare good storytelling or stuff like that. So I learned few months ago by another
Mhm.
speaker to put the in the last slide without after the thank you slides. Let
Mhm.
me say, put a warm up question. So if
Okay.
the crowd doesn't have a question because they need a warm up, you have one prepared
Okay.
for
Nice.
warm up the audience.
Yeah, that's a cool trick. And I agree with what you said. It's a lot about networking. The entire conference experience, I think, is very enriched by the networking. But something that I haven't taken into consideration when I entered into public speaking is like I'm going to be this speaker, but I'm also going to be like peers with other very, very cool speakers that I have admired for years. And it's also a little bit intimidating, but very exciting as well, especially because, as you say, you can just pick their brains, ask their questions, and more often than not, or most of the time actually, people are very, very, very open to help you and very constructive criticism and helping you out and cheering you on even before the talk, like you go, Mark, knock him dead. And I love this culture around among speakers like that.
Yeah, because we are in the same boat. So
Yeah,
we are
exactly.
developers. We always struggling with technologies and new stuff. Also with customers sometimes. So it's I think in the conferences the good part is to speak with other developers. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
definitely. Okay. What would you say is the hardest part of giving an in-person talk?
Yeah, for me, the hardest part is to travel and answer to customers because I'm
Hmm.
not a DevRel. I used to work with customer during
Hmm.
my normal week. So when I hold a conference in person, I used to travel, but I need to answer the customers and also answer in Slack or email stuff like that because it's a little bit stressful for me. This is the
Yeah,
hardest part.
yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. All right. So last year, Giorgio, you talked at our conference on the remote track, but you actually attended afterwards our World Congress. And can you tell us a little bit how it was for you attending the Congress?
Yeah, that's a good opportunity that we are developers give me a free ticket, even if my talk was the remote one. And honestly was amazing. I attended the whole conference, and I have had the possibility to stay in the speaker room because in
Okay.
every conference there is a speaker room where all the speaker prepare their talk and speak in
Hmm.
a pacific, let me say, area, a
Hmm.
safe area, and speak with the other speaker and be there was amazing. I met a lot of great guys in person because
Hmm.
during the remote conferences I met them only in a remote, so was
Yeah.
the possibility to met them face to face.
Yeah, it's always another experience, right? You can talk to someone online for so often, and then you meet them in person, and it's a whole different feeling, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little
Well,
bit strange. So I imagine you a little bit taller, a little bit smaller.
that's funny. Okay, so what is one last advice you can give aspiring public speakers? Some people that are like, oh, I would like to become a public speaker. I don't really know where to start. I don't know if I'm good enough, or some last advice you can give them.
Yeah, my advice is to start with, of course, small meetups
Mhm,
because it's safer, let me say. But don't be scared about the to be not prepared for the talk.
mhm,
You can give your talk, share your experience. If your experience from 1 to 10 is like 7, it's okay. You can
mhm,
expose your experience, and maybe someone that is at the level 2 can
mhm.
understand and get a lot of benefits from your talk. So you don't have to be scared that you are less than the creator of some framework. Let me say, if we are talking about Vue, you don't have to be scared that you know less than Evan you, of course, because
Yeah.
okay, you have your experience and you can share that. Yeah,
Yeah, we all have we all have different experiences, right, which makes us unique. And yeah, I think like being afraid to sort of be not good enough. I mean, people know or might know or might notice that you're not that is your first time speaking, and they also cut you slack. Like nobody is like out to get you or something. So people are
no,
just like, okay, look, maybe he like forgot about the slide or something, and it just happens. It's the first time talking. And I think what it's important to realize when you want to become a speaker is that the audience doesn't isn't looking that closely to like what exactly you do. So it could be that only you and only you notice when something went
yeah,
wrong off the rails, and the audience is like, oh yeah, this is fine, this is still a nice talk, and people enjoy it.
yeah, that's true. And I used to rewatch my talks always to get
Mhm,
some hints and some
mhm.
area to improve. Yeah, this is like my training stuff. I watch myself and I try to understand where I can improve myself.
Yeah, it's very nice. So thanks for all of this, Giorgio. This was a very insightful talk we just had here. And everyone that listened or watched, thanks for tuning in, and see you in the next episode. And bye bye, Giorgio. See you around.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for listening at this great episode.
Okay,
Bye.
cool. Bye bye.